Okay, so this is going to be part 2 for I can read and write decimals to the thousandths place value. First thing, let's create our place value chart. So we have our decimal. Remember, the center is not the decimal. The center is actually the 1 that incorporates the decimal. So this is our center. Tens, hundreds, thousandths, tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So our whole is 1 times 10 is 10 times 10 is 100, and times 10 is 1,000. 1/10 of 1/10 of 1/10 of 1/10 of a 1 is 1/10. It's nice to see with fractions because it kind of clarifies the place value chart. Times 1/10 is 100th, and times 100th is 1,000th. All right, so let's talk about fractions and decimals. If I have a decimal, this is going to start us off right away. There's not really any steps. It's kind of just more, it's really conceptual actually, but it makes a lot of sense visually. If I have, whoa, there goes the top. If I have 1 and 1600ths, 1 and 1600ths, I can rewrite this decimal as a fraction. And this decimal tells me if I have a whole number and a part of a number, it's a mixed number. So it's 1 and 1600ths. Now, expanded form is taking this or this and expanding it out. And for 5th grade standards, you're specifically looking at a fractional format. So take this, look at your whole. You have 1, 1, right? So you're going to rate that out. 1 times 1. Plus, I have a 1 and a 6. And it's easier to see with the decimal to bring it to here. But I have a 1 and a 6. I have 1/10 and 600ths. 1 times a 10th plus I have 600ths. 6 times 100th. Here's all my digits. There's my 1, 1, 1/10, 1/10, 600ths, 600ths. So I broke this fraction into its expanded form based upon each values or each digit's value with its place value chart. So 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 1/10 is 1/10. And then 6 times 100th is 600ths. If I add all of these together going backwards, one suggestion I would do, or I would give, is to create a place value chart just to begin with, just to get your feet wet, getting used to the expanded form. And you should have this memorized. You should be able to right off the bat say this is hundredths, this is hundreds, this is thousandths, this is ones. And look and see, okay, 1 times 1 is 1, so I'm simply going to put a 1 here. 1 times 1/10 is 1/10, because it's one place value to the right of the decimal. And then 6 times 100ths is 600ths, 1 and 1600ths. So I can go back and forth between the two models. So looking at a decimal as a fraction, breaking it apart, and being able to bring this back to a decimal. All right, let's do a few more. Let's do 2 and 3500ths. 2 and 3500ths. And the place value is really nice because it tells you what the fraction is for the denominator, or the denominator for the fraction when you write it as a mixed number. So 2 and 35 over 100. 2 and 3500ths. Break it apart. I like to look at this model better when I break it apart. So there's 3 digits. So I know I'm going to have to break it apart into 3 sets of parentheses. So I have 2 times, it's in the ones place value, so 2 times 1, plus 3 is in which place value? Tenths. 3 times 1/10, I feel like I'm Dora the Explorer. 5 is in which place value? Hundredths. 5 times 100th. Double check. You got a 2, 2, 3, 3, 5, 5. And if I were to boink my head and forget this was here and I had to rewrite it as a decimal in standard form, I could simply, again, if I need more practice, create my place value chart and then plug in the numbers. So 2 times 1, I know that's in the ones place. Right, here's my 2. 3 times 1/10, that's 3/10ths, tenths place. And then 5 times 100th, 500ths. 2 and 3500ths, 2 and 3500ths, 2 and 3500ths. It's all the same number, decimal, it's just represented differently. This is standard form in decimal, this is a fractional form, and this is expanded in its fractional form. Let's see, how much time do we have? Maybe do one last one. If you're good, you can stop the video. If not, keep watching. Let's look at, let's go to the thousandths place. Let's go to 1 and 17 thousandths. Okay, don't get confused. You can write it as a mixed number of 1 and 17 over 1,000. So 1 and 17 thousandths. Again, you want to break it apart, but make sure you don't count the zeros. You can use it, but that'd be kind of silly. So 1, 2, 3 is all you have to break it up into. So we have ones plus, there's nothing in the tenth, so you could write 0 times 1/10. That's silly, it would just be 0. Just skip over to the next place value, which is hundredths. 1 times 100th. Plus the 7 is in the thousandths place value. 7 times 1,000th. Last time I'm going to rewrite my place value chart. 1 is in the ones. 1 times 100th is in the hundredths. And then 7 times 1,000ths is in the thousandths. I can't just leave my number like this. I instead have to write in a 0 to hold my place value. So it becomes 1 and 17 thousandths, 1 and 17 thousandths, 1 and 17 thousandths. Just double check that you have all of your digits. All right, so that's it for I Can Read and Write Decimals to the Thousandths Place Part 2.